Band coming round the bend is Boogeyman Band.
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. Happy Friday the 13th to everyone. This is unfortunately the only Friday the 13th we're going to be getting in 2022, much like in 2021. We only got one, but I always take full advantage anytime a Friday the 13th rolls around. It's my favorite day of the year next to Halloween. Friday the 13th franchise is my favorite horror film franchise, Jason Voorhees being my favorite horror film character. I've talked about it many times. If people have been following my channel for a while, you already know this. Back in 2018, in January of 2018, I realized something that after nearly 8 years of doing videos, I had never done a ranking of this franchise. So in that year, I did a ranking. I did 13 films because I included Vincenzo DiSanti's Never Hike Alone, which had dropped the previous fall, in fall of 2017. And that was a film that I helped donate to. And it was something that really meant a lot to me because it really kept the spirit of Jason Voorhees alive while the lawsuit between Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham was going on. Prior to that, we had sort of holdups with the studio who didn't know like what direction they wanted to go. They decided not to go with Damian Shannon and Mark Swift's sequel to the 2009 Reboot. So it really was great that Vincenzo DiSanti did a fan film that actually just was, such a great homage to the character and the legacy of the franchise while taking it in a new direction. And I'm so grateful for that film existing. So I wanted to make sure that in 2018 I included it. And now here we are, this is 4 years later, a little over 4 years since I did that video. We still haven't gotten a new Friday the 13th. We just passed the 13-year mark on February 13th of this year. 13 years, no new Friday the 13th film from the studios, that being Warner Brothers and New Line and Paramount. We did get a prequel to Never Hike Alone, and that was Never Hike in the Snow, which dropped in October of 2020. So I thought for today I would do a ranking of all 14 films. I went back and rewatched the video I did in 2018 to see how I ranked these films. And I was surprised that some of these films actually moved around, some significantly. Some moved up, some moved down. I'm going to start from my least favorite to my favorite and then just talk about where it ranked in the previous video. So I hope everyone looks forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So my movies are from the box set, the amazing box set that we got in October of 2020 that Shout Factory put out. This is like the crown jewel for me. So starting with my least favorite, and this has not changed since 2018, and that is going to be Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. And like I said in that video, there's many elements of this film that I like. I love John De La Maye. I was a fan of him from the Friday the 13th television series where he played Ryan Dallion. I also love Aaron Gray, Billy Greenbush, Stephen Williams, Stephen Culp. Terrific cast in this. Kane Hodder coming back to play Jason for the third time. Jason is more of an evil entity that's body hopping in this one. It's shifting from body to body. Only a Voorhees can he be reborn, and only a Voorhees can kill him. So that's like the overall theme of this film. And the regular look of Jason kind of bookends the rest of the film. But it's a fun film, and I have a lot more respect for it now than I used to. I think that Adam Marcus and Dean Lorey did a great job of coming up with an original story, and I think Adam Marcus did a great job as a first-time director. I have a lot of respect for that man. The best thing about this film for me is the ending, which set up the Freddy versus Jason. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. Like I said, still my least favorite, but a film that I've grown to respect more over the years. Next one for me, and this one hasn't changed as well from 2018, and that is the original 1980 classic Friday the 13th, directed by Sean Cunningham, written by Victor Miller and Ron Kurtz. I love the story. I think it's a very scary story. I think there's a lot of creepy elements to it. But for me, the Friday the 13th franchise for me is Jason. And even though I love Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees, I love that it set the groundwork for what the series would become. But for me, it's just not one that I read as often as the other sequels in the franchise. So the next one for me, and this is pretty much in the same spot it was in back in 2018, this is going to be the 2002 release, Jason X. This is directed by the late, great Jim Isaacs, and of course was Kane Hodder's swan song as the character, if you don't count the Friday the 13th video game. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great moments in this. Of course, Uber Jason is one of the coolest looks for Jason, and I think Kane Hodder did a fantastic job in this, and I think Todd Farmer did a great job writing this. Again, can't take it seriously. It would have been interesting to see if they had made a sequel to this. I know there's sequel novels and there was a comic book series that picked up after the events of this one. Would have been interesting to see where they went, but of course we know after this one came Freddy vs. Jason and then the reboot. But I still really enjoy watching this film. It's a lot of fun. Next one for me is Never Hike in the Snow, which is the prequel to Vicente DeSantis' Never Hike Alone. This one I really loved because it sort of brought back some of the continuity from Jason Lives. And I also love seeing Jason in the winter setting, which is something we've all wanted to see. I also thought Vicente DeSantis did a great job of playing Jason Voorhees, or Ghost Jason as he's been referred to, in this one as well. There's some terrific moments with him, amazing cinematography and amazing direction. The thing for me, the element that was missing from this one was Kyle MacLeod character played by the amazing Drew Leidy. Of course, this is a prequel, so I didn't expect him to be in it. There is like a little kind of Easter egg that you'll see of him if you watch it really closely in one scene. But he just, for me, was the heart of Never Hike Alone. So him not being in this was just something that I really missed, and that's just me being out of the actor in general. Also, this is very short; it's only 30 minutes, whereas Never Hike Alone was nearly an hour in length. So I just wanted more from this, and I even said that when I did my original review of this film. Next for me will be Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. This is the first Friday the 13th film I ever saw in the theater. This came out when I was 10 and a half. I think Danny Steinman did a great job directing this. I love the cast. You have John Shepard, Melanie Kinnaman, Shavar Ross, Dominic Brescia, Tiffany Helm, Juliet Cummings, of course, Carol Locatell and Ron Sloan, and Deborah Voorhees, who will always have my heart. I love this film. It's very scary. I think it's one of the last truly scary Friday the 13th films. After this, they started getting a little bit campier, and it's no longer the black sheep of the franchise. I think it's actually a very underrated gem, and I'm glad that more people are discovering it. For me is Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, this was originally number 8 on my previous list. This is number 9 now on my list. Still a film that I think gets a lot of hate unfairly. It's not perfect. They had a smaller budget. They couldn't do everything in New York that they wanted to do. But this film is so much fun. I think Rob Hedden did a great job with the limitations that he was given. I think Kane Hodder turns in a fantastic performance as Jason, his second time in the role, the only actor at the time to play the character a second time. I love the change in settings, the location. Even though they shot most of it in Vancouver, there are some amazing shots that they were able to accomplish in New York, specifically the Times Square scene. Next one for me is Never Hike Alone. This one moved down for me a little bit. It was number 5 on my previous list. I can't say enough great things about this film, though. I think that this is truly a love letter to the franchise and to the fans of the franchise. I think Vicente DeSantis did a great job. I think Andrew Leidy is amazing. And I love that thematically it has a lot of elements similar to like 127 Hours. That, you have this blogger who's really into like extreme, sports and hiking and things like that. Going on this backpacking trip and stumbling upon Camp Crystal Lake and Jason Voorhees. I just think all of the elements in this work. I also love the little callbacks to the original franchise, and of course the ending really, got me excited for where they could go next. Usually not really into fan films, but this just had all of the elements work, and I think Vicente DeSantis did a great job of not only writing and directing this film, but also playing the iconic Jason Voorhees. Next for me is going to be The New Blood, Friday the 13th Part 7. Now, I had this one a lot higher in my previous ranking video. This one was number 4. Currently, it's number 7. This is my favorite look for Jason Voorhees. I love John Carl Buechler's makeup on this, and this is, of course, Kane Hodder's first iteration of the character. This is the first time he played him. He did a fantastic job. I love all of the effects in it. Of course, this movie got really neutered by the MPAA. Also, Buechler found himself in constant conflict with his associate producer Barbara Sachs on a lot of the things he wanted to shoot. It just is so watered down that it doesn't have the impact that some of these other films that are on my list, a little bit higher on my list, have for me right now. Number 6 is going to be the 2009 Reboot, which is exactly where it sat in 2018. I love this film. I don't get the hate for this film. I think everything in this movie works. It is a really nice homage to the original Friday the 13th films, the first 4 in particular, and I think Derek Mears is just absolutely fantastic in the role, a worthy successor to Kane Hodder. I just think all the elements in this film work, with the exception of the score. I'm not a big fan of the score in this film. I really wish they could have brought Harry Manfredini's music back into this. But outside of that, I still think it's a kick-ass movie that should get more credit than it does, and I'm hoping that, similar to what we've seen with like A New Beginning, that as time goes on, people will warm up to this. Older fans of the franchise will warm up to this like I did when I first saw it. I loved it out the gate, and I still love it now. It's a fantastic film. So number 5 for me, and this is one that has moved up 4 spots from 2018. This was number 9 in 2018. It's number 5 now, and that is Friday the 13th Part 2. I've always loved this film. This is one that has just gotten more popular with me. I really started watching this film a lot last year. For some reason, I was just fascinated by it, and I just started watching it a lot more than I had in previous years. I just think this film is truly terrifying and just very effective. I love everybody in this film. I think everybody does a terrific job. I like the atmosphere, and I think that's why it's kind of moved up so much for me. I just really love the fear factor of this one. It's really creepy. There's some really creepy moments in this film, just by Steve Miner's use of shadows and not really seeing Jason until towards the end of the film. I just really love the way that this movie is put together, and I think it's still effective, 41 years later. It just really is a fantastic Friday the 13th film, and I'm so glad that I have rediscovered it and grown to appreciate it so much more than I did. And another one that moved up 3 spots from my 2018 ranking. This was number 7 in 2018, and it's number 4 now, and that is Friday the 13th Part 3. This has always been one of my favorite films in the film. And I just really love the late, great Richard Brooker's interpretation of Jason. Of course, this is the film where Jason gets the hockey mask. I love all the characters in this, from Chris to Debbie to Andy, especially Shelly and Chuck and Chili. I love the bikers, Fox, Loco, and Ali. And I love the setting of Higgins Haven. Everything about this film works, and I just remember this was the film that kind of really started getting me into the Friday the 13th films, watching this film as a kid and just being fascinated by Jason and the hockey mask and everything. This is what started it all, and I just have grown to love this film a little bit more in the last couple of years by rewatching it several more times, as opposed to some of the other ones that were on the list. And I think this one is still absolutely terrifying. It holds up really well. It's a lot of fun. It's got a great balance of comedy and horror that I think the later films took the comedy element a little too far, but for this one, I think it's just well balanced. Still effective, great characters, and I never get tired of watching it. So yeah, fantastic film. Now the next 3 are pretty much identical to what they were in 2018, so I'm not going to go into too many details, but number 3 for me is going to be Freddy vs. Jason, and I think the reason why it will remain number 3 for me is because I waited for this film for 2 decades. 2 fucking decades of waiting for this film. I started hearing rumblings about Freddy vs. Jason when I was in high school, so the storyline for this would have had to really just gone off the rails for me to not like it. I'm still disappointed that Kane Hodder wasn't able to reprise his role as Jason in this, but I do think Ken Kirzinger does a great job as the character, giving it a different element than Kane gave him, but he still has those brutal elements that Kane brought to the table. And on a side note, Ken Kirzinger is going to be at Sinister Creature Con next month, and I cannot wait to meet him. And also, this is Robert Englund's swan song as Freddy. I love that we got fights in both the dream world and the real world. I think the last 20 minutes of this film are just absolutely kick-ass and completely worth it. I still remember seeing this opening night. It was a blast. One of the greatest movie experiences I've ever had. It will remain where it is. I love this film. Never get tired of watching it. Number 2 for me will be Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, which I still think is the scariest Friday the 13th film of all time. I love that it is a direct continuation of Friday the 13th Part 3 in the fact that it picks up at Higgins Haven, dealing with the aftermath of that film. I love that, the way Jason comes back in the hospital. I love how he stalks the Jarvis family as well as the kids that are in the house across the way from the Jarvis house. And you have a fantastic cast. You have Kimberly Beck, Peter Barton, Crispin Glover, Judy Aronson, Corey Feldman, and of course the amazing Ted White as Jason, who I still think is the scariest representation of the character. He's absolutely chilling in the role. And yeah, this film never gets old, and I think it will always be the scariest film in the franchise. Nothing can really unseat it, in my opinion. And number one for me should be no surprise to anyone that knows me. It is Jason Lives. Jason Lives is always and will always be my favorite film in the franchise. This film came out in 1986 when I was 12 years old. Came out on August 1st, which is weird. But yeah, I remember seeing this movie with my mom, and this was the first film in the franchise that didn't terrify me to my core. This was like a rock and roll concert. It was like going to an amusement park. It was so much fun. This is one where I think that Tom McLoughlin just did a brilliant job of balancing the comedy and the horror. You have a fantastic cast in Tom Matthews, Jennifer Cook, David Kagan, Tom Fridley, Darcy DeMoss, as well as my favorite Jason Voorhees of all time, the amazing CJ Graham, who I wish could have continued, but he just is kick-ass in this role. Absolutely love the guy, and I'm so glad that more people are warming up to this film, and that more people are appreciating the amazing work he did as the character. Fantastic film. Can never say enough great things about it. So quite an undertaking talking about all of these films. So that is 14 films total, because you have the 2 fan films as well as the 12 films from Paramount and New Line. Fantastic horror film series, fantastic box set. Like I said, can't say enough great things about the Friday the 13th franchise. Hopefully one day we will get a brand new film from the studio system, but who knows when that'll be. So let me know what you guys are planning to do for Friday the 13th. You can have a marathon. Do most of you have this amazing box set from Shout Factory or Scream Factory? I'm so grateful to have this, and I'm so grateful for all of you. So thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone on this Friday the 13th, and I promise I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Hey fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always.